All right. Well, evening, everyone.
Mhm.
Yes, you can respond. You can smile. You can wave. You can say, "Hey, how you doing, otherworldly being?"
Ah,
But that's not really true, is it? Because we don't come from a world, and that's kind of the difference between us and most of the energies that exist within your fourth dimensional paradigm. Okay, you have to understand that everything in your fourth dimensional paradigm is engaged and held together energetically in the dynamics of the creation through a thing called
water.
loosh.
Oh, loosh. Yes.
Loosh. Loosh. It is very much a hermetic, an alchemical in a way term for those that are involved in that energy, but it is basically what we call the consensus energy.
Oh.
Right? We just are using different words for it, but if you want to find a consensus definition for the dynamic, just spend a little time looking for the dynamic of loosh.
That looking up loosh would lead you to other
It's going to lead you to
exertions.
other things and other levels of understanding, and you're going to realize that what we have been teaching you for years just has a different vocabulary.
Mm-hmm.
And is people use and others are using and have used different definitions over the years for the same basically energies that we have been describing in a 20th and 21st century way. Right? A lot of these terms are archaic and have been around for a really long time. And we chose more, for example, one of the great dynamics of sovereignty, of awareness, is to realize that judgments freeze things into place, but its paradoxical side is a dynamic of assessment. We've been teaching you that dynamic for years. You have a dynamic of judgment, but judgments freeze things in place. So you don't really want to judge things. You want to have a reasonable assessment of where things are in the moment, positive, negative, whatever it happens to be. But you want to leave yourself always open for more information, for an adjustment that is ultimately going to be closer to the truth as you understand and learn more of the dynamics of detail. That is an aspect of wisdom. So they call it, instead of assessment, others call it discernment. Now we talk about a dynamic of discernment encapsulated in and of itself, and it is something that is required more than just a counter for judgment. But we suppose in a more adolescent sort of understanding that it could be more black and white and understood. But the truth of the matter is, it is a very complex dynamic of energy based, this loosh energy, basically because, well, look, right now you've got 6, 7 of you, 8 of you, if Brian's hiding back there somewhere, to be able to be in, there you are, to be in the dynamic of the position where you are in fact energetically creating as a group, right? And so as you have been talking about the dynamics of peace, you are putting out a dynamic of the intent, of your willingness to look at the reflections of your reality. Do you think that peace is beta? Or do you think that peace is alpha? Is it treated that way? Absolutely not. No. Is peace treated as masculine at all? Or is it treated as a dynamic of what shall we say, a disempowered feminine that cannot get out of its own way? if you look at the dynamic of the way the peace movement has been usurped, the peace movement basically came from the grassroots. And, those of you that are veterans were on the other side of that, right? You weren't really the peaceniks. You're the ones that got suckered in to go into the war. But again, you were doing the right thing. You were that whole dynamic of loyalty, that whole template of what it meant to be masculine, what it meant to be a man. For those of you with gray hair, it means a lot more than those out there in your world. But again, it's that dynamic of that, and you did what you did for your own reason. But in the dynamic of how many of you, especially you, Bob, and the channel, you did it to do the right thing. And so there is, even though you were misdirected,
well,
it was a laudable and is that type of energy, the willingness to sacrifice oneself, the willingness to put oneself on the line in that sort of way is something that is rare.
It's heart oriented.
Yeah, it is. It's heart oriented, and it's but doesn't that show you the depth of heart that the masculine, the true masculine, the divine masculine actually has?
Yes.
All right. So that's an important situation. That's an important dynamic there. That's not a dynamic that the feminine and those of you that are in female bodies have to face, and you could face it, but it has to be voluntarily.